Most men don't wake up one day and suddenly feel lost. It usually happens slowly over time. And if you're a man who's ever caught yourself thinking, I don't even recognize who I am anymore, or how did I end up here, then you probably already know what I'm talking about. As men, we usually don't stop and say something's wrong, but we stay busy and we keep moving. We tell ourselves we're just in a season where things are a little bit hectic, or we just don't have time right now. But underneath all that, something starts to shift and you don't always notice it right away. For me, I kind of felt lost in life. It wasn't because I had nothing going on, it was actually the opposite. I had so much going on that I lost touch with most of the things that made me who I was. I stopped going to the gym, I wasn't eating right, and I wasn't sleeping at regular times anymore. And the strange part about this is that I still wanted to do all those things. The desire didn't go away, but I kept finding reasons not to. And eventually, all of those reasons turned into one excuse that I told myself over and over again. I just don't have time. And if you're that man, you've probably said that at some point in your life, because it's an easy thing to believe that our schedule just starts filling up. But the reality is, I made myself busy. And when I say busy, I don't mean normal day to day responsibilities like cutting the grass or taking out the trash. I mean, I had something scheduled for just about every hour of the day. I was involved with committees, city planning meetings, economic development meetings. There was always something going on that I can point to and say, this is why I don't have time to do them. And because I filled my life up like that, everything else started to fall apart without me really paying attention to it. I wasn't eating right because I didn't have time. So I'd grab something quick, or sometimes I wouldn't eat at all. I'd get home late at night, and even then, I couldn't shut my brain off because I was already thinking about everything that I had done that day and everything that I need to do tomorrow. There wasn't any space left for decompression, and there definitely wasn't any space left to think about what was actually going on in my life. And now looking back, I can see that being lost wasn't about doing nothing, it was about doing too much of the wrong things and not enough of what actually mattered. And this is where I think a lot of men start to be distracted because it's not that they don't care, but because they filled their time with everything else. For me, the biggest thing that I was losing was my connection with my family. I was already a workaholic. I didn't have a shut-off valve. I was working 70 to 100 hours a week, and that felt normal to me. And looking back, that became my excuse. It became a way for me to take myself out of situations at home that I didn't really want to deal with. And I could justify it by just saying I was working or being productive. And the truth is, this doesn't just show up at work. For some men, it's spending all of their time in the garage or being on the golf course every weekend or sitting in a bar every night. It all looks different on the surface, but underneath it's all the same thing. It's just another way to avoid being present at home. My realization moment came when my kids started getting older, and getting older involved things like sports and scouting and school plays. And at some point you hear something that just stops you. Dad, you never show up to anything. That's the line right there. Because I remember what that felt like when I was a kid. My parents were working and they were doing what they needed to do, but they weren't around for a lot of those things. And I remember how disappointing that felt. And in the moment, I realized I was doing exactly the same thing. Not because I didn't care, but because I had built a life that was pulling me away from what mattered most. I started making changes. I stepped down from all the board positions. I walked away from all of the organizations. And I let go of things that didn't really need me as much as I thought they did. And I made a decision that if my sons asked me to do something or go somewhere, I was going to make myself available. That led me to do things like coaching football, being a scoutmaster, and showing up at school plays. I was still busy, but now I was busy doing things that actually centered around my family instead of pulling me away from them. And when I look back now, I don't think most men feel lost because they don't have direction. I think they feel lost because they've slowly disconnected from the things that give their life meaning. And it happens so gradually that they don't even realize that it's happening until they're already too deep into it. So if you're feeling like that right now, like something is off, but you really can't quite put your finger on it, it might be worth taking a step back and really looking at how you're spending your time. Not just what you're doing, but what's pulling you away from your family. Because sometimes the problem isn't that you're stuck, It's just that you've been moving in a direction that doesn't actually lead anywhere that you want to go. Everything I talk about on this channel comes from my own real life experiences as a man, as a father, and as somebody who's had to figure things out the hard way. I created this channel because there are a lot of men going through the same things, but we don't always talk about them. If this resonates with you, I'd like to hear your perspective. Drop it in the comments or share it in the community post, because there's a lot of value in hearing what other men have to go through in those moments. Because life isn't hacked, it's built. And I'll see you in the next one.